on pause. The state takes extraordinary steps to stop coronavirus crisis from intensifying. Most businesses closed, most people at home, but will this extreme measure work?
And it has to stop, and it has to stop now.
Targeting the parks, Mayor de Blasio and Governor Cuomo have a message about packed playgrounds, how they're taking action to ensure that people are practicing social distancing. Thanks for joining us. I'm Adam Cooperstein.
And I'm Rana Novini in for Gilma Avalos. Tonight is an unprecedented time for New York State and New York City. All non-essential businesses closed their doors 3 hours ago as the state goes on pause to fight coronavirus. What that means is tonight confirmed cases of coronavirus in the city crossing the 10,000 mark. The number of people killed by COVID-19 way up to 99. New York State now has 150 deaths and more than 16,000 cases. The number of cases in Connecticut also rose today to more than 300, and New Jersey has nearly 2,000 cases and 20 deaths. And as we enter this uncharted territory, there is silence on the streets of Times Square tonight. Very odd to see as the city enters this new phase in the fight against the virus tonight. We have team coverage on the pandemic, the shutdown, and the new push for testing. We start with what the White House is doing now to help New York as Mayor de Blasio warns hospitals will run out of supplies in 2 to 3 weeks.
The National Guard, activated by President Trump tonight, heading to help the states hardest hit by coronavirus, including New York, which now has nearly half the known cases in America.
I spoke with Governor Cuomo. He's working hard. We're all working hard together. The relationship has really been amazing.
After request from Governor Cuomo, the president approving a major disaster declaration, allowing the federal government to send much-needed supplies, including 1,000 hospital beds to New York City in the next 48 hours.
Until it arrives, I'm going to really be questioning a little bit because I've heard lots of things from the president over the last 3 years that didn't end up happening.
The mayor's office says de Blasio spoke to President Trump tonight and also asked for help from the military's medical professionals. No answer from the president on that, but he did approve the state's request to build 4 large medical stations at locations including 2 on Long Island, 1 in Westchester, and another at the Javits Center in Manhattan.
This will be a great victory. This is going to be a victory.
The president promising results faster than expected, he says, even as the number of COVID-19 cases across America grows. And as Dow futures plunged at the open, with Wall Street waiting for economic relief.
You will see our economy skyrocket.
Okay, the White House tonight also announcing a partnership with IBM based in Westchester. The company is going to make its supercomputing power to help researchers fight the spread of coronavirus. And we want to get a feel now of what it is like to have New York on pause, as the governor is putting it. News 4's Miles Miller is in Kips Bay, and Miles, leaders sent a strong message to New Yorkers today about that social distancing.
You'll hear about that social distancing in just a moment, but just to give you a look at what businesses are essential, Kips Bay Court, a very packed court here, and I'll show you the businesses that are essential. We're talking about a grocery store at the end of the corner, a pharmacy store. This right here is a hardware store. You'll notice they're only doing curbside pickup. Banks are also included in essential businesses, but you see that right there? That's a movie theater. That's not essential. Governor Andrew Cuomo tonight outraged by what he called arrogant New Yorkers refusing to social distance at parks and public spaces across New York City.
It's self-destructive, it's disrespectful to other people, and it has to stop, and it has to stop now.
He put Mayor Bill de Blasio on notice to come up with a plan to stop this within 24 hours. The mayor today saying he'll submit a plan to the state, but for now, it's business as usual. Playgrounds remain open, no team sports, no large gatherings.
We all want to be social, but we just can't the way we were. So you can go to the park, but only for a limited period of time.
At Prospect Park this afternoon, plenty of people in groups, few observing social distancing.
If a couple of people are next to each other, it's not the end of the world.
As the clock in Union Square hit 8 p.m., all non-essential businesses here closed. Here's what's open. Grocery stores, bodegas, farmers markets, pharmacies, hardware stores, restaurants, and bars for takeout and delivery service only. What's closed? Gyms and spas, nail and hair salons, tattoo parlors, clothing stores, and casinos.
We just came to buy some more grocery in case if there is any more restriction tomorrow morning not to go outside the house. We have enough food for a week at least.
Normally packed Union Square and 6th Avenues tonight. Quiet as the governor floated the idea of closing some streets to cars to reduce density. And the mayor has not yet said whether he'll consider that proposal to open some of these streets so that people could walk without being interacting with others. But the mayor says he will be talking with the governor about this. This is something that they have not yet settled on. Come tomorrow, 8 hours time from right now, people will be beginning to work from home. That's 100% of those non-essential employees. We'll see you again at 11:30. Live in Kips Bay, I'm Miles Miller, News 4 New York.
Okay, we'll see if this makes a difference. Miles, thank you. Well, tomorrow, MTA bus riders are going to need to start using their rear doors. The goal here, protecting the drivers from being in close contact with passengers. SBS riders are still going to need to pay the fare at the curbside kiosks. Technically, other bus passengers also need to pay. Express bus customers will board as normal, but only the disabled will be allowed to sit in the front 3 rows. Meanwhile, New Jersey has seen testing demand spike since the site in Bergen County opened up, and now the state opening 2 more locations in Hudson Regional Hospital and Homedale. News 4's Ida Siegel at PNC Bank Arts Center in Homedale. That's going to be home to one of those new testing sites, and we know demand is going to be high, Ida.
Yep, that's right, Adam. These testing sites, drive-through sites, have been opening up all over our area this weekend, and the latest one behind me here opens up in the morning. They expect drivers will turn up in their cars at about 8 in the morning with the goal of making it over to one of those tents for a cheek swab. The tents are up, cones are in place as the latest COVID-19 drive-through testing site prepares for an onslaught of people expected to show up in the morning. News that this location is now open put people in the area at ease.
That makes me more than happy. I know that the other one that was setting up was over in Marlborough, and I feel like that's too far away for us. So I'm more happy that that's closer to us.
The PNC Bank Arts Center will be open for testing 7 days a week starting at 8 in the morning until supplies last. There are 2,500 testing kits ready to go here. In Bergen County this morning, health officials ran out of kits and had to turn people away. People will not be tested unless they show symptoms, including a fever. Another location will open here in Secaucus on Tuesday, but this time it will be appointment only. Many hoping they never have to come to any of these locations.
Everyone's staying home and making sure that everyone's okay with it.
But the governor today expressing frustration because he says too few people in New Jersey are heeding the direction to stay home.
We are really damned unhappy, and we're going to take action. And I just don't know, we already are, in the extent to which we're aggressively up and down. I want to thank the police forces up and down the state for being as visible as they are. But you don't win a war by putting your feet up.
Back here live at the Arts Center, officials are urging people not to show up here before 8 o'clock in the morning. They will not allow people to line up until 8 o'clock. And again, you don't qualify for a test unless you are showing symptoms. Reporting live from Homedale, Ida Siegel, News 4, New York.
Okay, Ida, thank you. And in Newark, New Jersey, the mayor there has expanded the hot zone neighborhoods that are under a mandatory order to stay at home. The new area goes from Avon Avenue to West Runyon Street and Irvine Turner Boulevard to South 12th Street. The second zone runs from Bloomfield Avenue to Verona Avenue and Lake Street to Route 21. A third forms a triangle around Springfield Avenue. We have those for you on the map there. And in Patterson, all houses of worship are banned from holding any kind of meeting. That move comes after someone diagnosed with coronavirus went to a funeral 2 weeks ago. Places of worship must also be sanitized, paying special attention to contact surfaces like door handles. Meantime, the city has announced it will issue fines to anyone who does not comply with Governor Murphy's stay-at-home order.
Well, tonight, a growing number of Senate Republicans have decided to self-quarantine just hours before tomorrow's vote on the coronavirus stimulus package. And this comes after Kentucky Senator Rand Paul announced that he has tested positive. Senator Paul is the first known senator to be infected with COVID-19. And right now, 5 Republican senators are quarantined and not able to vote. Now, as of this evening, the Senate and House have not agreed on this Republican-backed bill. They're still haggling. As expected, Paul's diagnosis has sparked conversation also about whether senators, many of which are in the older high-risk category, should go home immediately and self-quarantine. Paul was on the Senate floor a lot last week and likely came into contact with many fellow senators. Senator Paul says he feels fine and he's not showing any symptoms. Now, that massive coronavirus stimulus package failed to get enough votes earlier tonight in a key Senate procedural vote. Now, the stalemate came hours after Democratic leaders warned the bill did too much to bail out companies and not enough to help American workers.
If we aren't able to act tomorrow, it'll be because of our colleagues on the other side continuing to dicker when the country expects us to come together and address this problem.
The legislation has many problems. At the top of the list, it includes a large corporate bailout with no protections for workers and virtually no oversight.
Last week, Senate Republicans introduced the CARES Act in a bid to slow the potentially catastrophic impact of COVID-19 on the economy. And across America tonight, there are more than 34,000 known cases of coronavirus. At least 432 people have died from the virus. And again, New York State accounts for nearly half the known cases in America.